Welcome to the Building Interest Podcast presented by Leader Bank, a series of free-flowing conversations on a wide range of banking and money-related subjects. We are here to discuss all the issues that impact your financial future. Do you want to buy a home, start a small business, or secure your financial future? Or maybe you want to maximize your savings ability, get your budget in order. We can help. Our talks with experts and influencers across the world of banking will set you in the right direction. I'm your host, Greg Farber. Let's jump right in. Welcome back to the Building Interest Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Farber, and today I'm joined by the oil and vinegar, the salt and pepper, the yin and yang of our residential lending business, Jim Shanahan, Vice President, and Dave Kurzman, Vice President of our Needham lending office. It is a pleasure to have you both here today.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you inviting us down.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Jim, why don't we start with you? Tell us about what you do and how you came to be a loan originator.
So I started being a loan originator back in 1995. Started off at a big company, worked there for 5 years, and then moved on to another company, which is where I met Dave. And Dave and I started working together.
Gotcha. So you were at a different company already there when Jim joined?
When Jim and I worked together at People's Mortgage in Wellesley, Jim was actually already there, and I had joined as an originator. And it became very clear within a few months that we collaborated very well together and that we were about ready to build a better mousetrap at another place. So the opportunity arose for us to open up a branch for a correspondent lender. And Jim and I looked at each other and said, this is the time to move on. And we ended up leaving with a couple of key employees, both on the operations side and on the loan officer side. I think one of our strengths was early on, we realized that in order to make the mortgage industry work, you had to build the foundation. Operationally is where it starts. And we're proud to say to this day, we still have many of our original operations people 17, 18 years later.
So you didn't just come to Leader with an established team. You had already started at a place before Leader with an established team that you've been cultivating over all these years.
Right. Yeah. So we started off just with building the loan officer piece, and then we started building up the processors, underwriters, that whole thing. So by the time we came to Leader, we had a pretty self-contained operation.
Now, what sparked your interest in Leader all these years ago? It was 2008, 2009?
2009.
Something?
2009.
Okay. What sparked your interest in Leader at the time where you said, well, this is the place we want to leave and go to?
We were looking for a place with basically an opportunity to grow with it, but not have a lot of layers of management on top.
Right. So you have a competitive advantage. You're efficient, but you can grow.
Exactly. Something with the opportunity. And, Sushil was an impressive person to meet with at the time. So,
and what happened to some of the other companies that you were at? I mean, they just fell apart after you left?
Well, we're actually quite lucky. When we started with this correspondent lender during the mortgage meltdown of 2008, they went out of business. And because we had a very strong relationship with both our operations and our loan officers, they really looked upon us to find another place to go execute. At that time, we joined a small community bank in Maryland where they had a very much the same type of system, lean pricing model, access to programs. And it was a very seamless operation because we were sunsetting from one company that had gone out of business. Sadly, or actually happily,
fortuitously,
12 to 18 months later, they ran into regulatory issues. So again, the team turned to us and said, we need to find another place to execute. And that's when we met Sushil and Jay, amongst many other companies. I think it's important to note for our history that we didn't just look at one area. We really opened up the door and looked at many different options. And it was clear that Leader was by far the best model from both operations, management, execution, and reputation. The Leader name is well known in the area. It is always greeted with a smile, whether you're talking to referral sources or clients or even employees in the industry.
Yeah, just to touch on the search, when we were looking for the next place to go, we looked at all the big banks out there, the big lenders. We looked at all the mortgage companies out there. We looked at all the small little community banks to try to find the best platform. And after all that search, we definitely knew the big banks weren't the platform we were looking for. The small community banks, although Leader Bank is one, most of them weren't a good fit. The mortgage companies were too volatile for us, and the small community bank that was Leader was more operated like a mortgage company than it was a bank. So it had all the benefits of a bank, yet it had the benefits of also being a mortgage company.
Right. And Dave, you mentioned sort of the Leader reputation. And at the time, we were, in fact, a much smaller community bank. And you're right, that reputation is a key piece of who we were and who we are today. You guys must have come with some sort of vision or some sort of goal of where you want to take Leader next as part of this lending operation when you joined. What did you have in mind when you joined Leader? Like, where did you want to go with things?
Mine was being able to just build the best residential loan team that we could. That was really our mindset. And what that's morphed into now is, all the other aspects of being with a bank, being able to do commercial referrals, being able to refer people to put deposits into the bank. There's a lot of things that we never envisioned that we are able to do now.
So our platform offered you a place to do more than just originate loans and sort of be pigeonholed into that category as originators.
Absolutely.
And that's a really good point, Greg. We felt we grew very much at the same time with Leader. Ideas were always encouraged. We never felt that we didn't have a seat at the table.
Right.
So as we grew, I think when we first came, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Leader was closing anywhere from 200 to 300 million a year. And we knew our group was going to maybe double or even triple that. So every step of the way, Sushil and Jay were excellent about allowing us to make suggestions. They were encouraging us to think outside of the box. And so we feel very much that our business grew in lockstep with the bank. And we actually feel very supportive and we feel very proud of being part of this Leader growth from the time we've been here.
Now, you're absolutely right about the numbers. We actually had our statisticians crunch some numbers. And I'm told that in the first year you were here, you guys generated about $300 million, which is right about what you just said. Now we're talking on pace to do 10 times that. We're talking $3 billion in sales. What do you think that secret sauce is? I mean, obviously the bank has grown as a whole, but you've been a part of that. What's the secret sauce that got us, to a tenfold increase in our loan productivity and maintaining that quality standard that Leader makes us people smile?
I mean, I'd say a big piece is giving the loan officers the opportunity to grow their business, giving them the right things where they're not worried about some of the day-to-day details. They're worried about doing what they're hired to do, which is to drive business, to create relationships.
What does that mean for a loan officer not to worry about their day-to-day business?
To give them the support that they need so that, in other words, when they're collecting conditions from a borrower, they're not spending their day collecting conditions. They're not doing, busy work that we could hire somebody else to do.
We're talking technology, staff.
Technology with the staff. So many jobs in this business, if you're a loan officer, they expect you to do, 99% of the work and not hire the teams or put the technology in place that you need. That's one thing that we've done is invest in the technology and invest in having, processors work on the conditions for loan officers and work to help the loan officers. A lot of times it seems, companies out there, mortgage companies out there or banks sort of make it an adversarial relationship and get, upset with the loan officers if they missed getting a pay stub from a borrower. Well, we need to give them the support that they need so that they can get out there and drive more business, not necessarily do all the paperwork.
Right. It goes both ways. If you don't have a good processors or underwriters, your loan stalls. But if you don't have good, happy loan officers, you're not bringing in loans to
absolutely
pay for those people.
Absolutely.
Jim and I have a philosophy of making sure the loan officers don't have to do extraneous stuff. We want them out taking loans and building their business. It's our job to make sure that the machine works very well. The engine has to keep rolling. We don't want them involved in that.
Right.
They don't want to be involved. They want to make sure that their opportunities are, and when they're up to bat, they can get as many of the apples on the cart as a sales comment would be made, just so that they're able to not have to worry about the the minutia of what our business can be sometimes.
Let everybody excel at the thing that they're good at and not do what other folks are better at, perhaps.
Many of our loan officers have been here for their longest job ever. So
you mentioned you came aboard with some of them even before
Absolutely.
Leader.
You know, it's interesting because the industry itself lends itself to people moving every few years.
Yep.
But our top loan officers have been with us without exception. This is their longest period of time. And many of the people that work for us either ran their own companies or were very senior in their previous companies. And so that's a testament to Leader's operational staff, to the leadership that is shown, not just in our office, but the support from the corporate side is amazing. Employees sometimes can be very tricky, and you don't know what's going to bother them or interfere with their work. But from our lock desk, from our secondary department, from our human resource department, it's an excellent place to work.
Now, all of those things are ultimately designed to keep the customers, the clients, happy, right? I mean, we want the clients to have a good experience, to have an easy time applying for, getting, closing their loan, and so forth. How are you managing that in a fluctuating market? How are you adapting to sort of the changing needs, but also the rate environment and all things that are affecting clients today?
Our philosophy, Jim and I have had a philosophy that our client is not just the person who works at Leader, but it's our employee as well. And so our support mechanism doesn't change whether the rates are at very low or very high. Fundamentally, our business model is provide great service, be honest and show integrity with everything that you do, and the business will come, Greg. So while the volume may be lower now, our customer service scores have never been higher. The feedback and the referrals from people continues to flow in. And, we've all been through this. We've all been in the industry for 20 plus years. And so rates go up and rates go down. We look at it as an opportunity now for us to grow our business because other, less qualified competitors might have to exit the space now,
right,
which will give us some growth opportunities.
You mentioned the clients and the reviews and the surveys and things being very positive, but clients aren't the only ones that we need to keep happy, right? We also need to keep our team happy. How do you keep the originators, the processors, the underwriters, that whole engine that you described, how do you keep them happy and engaged and excited if loan volume drops off and things like that?
Well, it's giving them the support that they need. So loan officers, this is a tough time where, business has slowed down dramatically, but giving them the support and the tools they need to go out and develop new lines of business. So just because one segment has slowed down doesn't mean every segment of the loan origination business has slowed down.
Any example you can give of something like that?
Typically the higher end market has slowed down quite a bit, whereas first-time home buyers who didn't have the opportunity to jump into the market because their offers weren't even being looked at, that's now a big segment of our origination. So giving them the tools that they need, developing the mass housing products, developing, FHA loans, things that weren't really prevalent in our market in the last couple of years, that will be our market going forward. So putting together the tools necessary for them.
So there's always a buyer, there's always a borrower. It's just a different process to go out and find who's at the right time and the right moment to be that next client.
Exactly. It's a shifting market.
We manage an outside sales force. So
what does that mean?
Sure. So our originators are self-generating their own leads. So when they don't wait for the phone to ring, they're not sending out necessarily direct mail or doing internet leads. They have developed a web of referral partners through attorneys, financial planners, real estate brokers, and obviously past clients. And they know how to work that system to generate leads. The other model that Leader has is we also have an in-house model. And that's, again, why Leader is a great place to come and work. Because whether you're an in-house person and that's where your strength lies, you could go on the in-house team. If you're a better generator, self-generator of referrals, you would work in an office like Needham or Burlington. There are other outside offices at Leader, as you know. So we can capture a wide group of customers by having multiple origination models.
It sounds like those folks that you mentioned, attorneys and real estate agents and financial planners, they're really also part of that support machine, if you will, where the loan officer might not know where the borrowers are going, but the real estate agent will know and the closing agent will know. And so that all plays together to keep the loan officers focused on the thing that they're good at, going out and getting those loans in.
The customer retention model that we have here is very strong. The loan officers know to work these referral sources, and everyone is a potential buyer. So I think that the loan officer that does the best here at Leader is someone that has an open mind, that is willing to put the time in to meet with the brokers, and you will see the rewards quite quickly if you're disciplined in that model.
Now, I joked when we opened up that you guys are the oil and vinegar of our loan operation, and I've known you guys, well, I joined in 2009 as well, so I've known you guys about as long as we've all been here. And you guys have very different personalities, but at the end of the day, you have the same team, the same goals, and you share in those same great results. And it's not typical that you see co-managers maintain such a lasting, professional, and dare I say successful partnership. How do you guys make that work?
Well, we've been working together now over 20 years.
Do you wear different hats, or do you trade hats, or how do you stay,
Jim has
on the same page?
Jim has really very good strengths, and the areas that he's strong, I am weak in, and I would say he would probably say the same thing in reverse. And from a perspective side, we don't look at it as somebody's right or wrong. We look at it as we each have a different perspective, and I think that helps make good decisions across the board. Our philosophy is very simple. We look at if we're changing a process or we're making a new policy, the first thing we say is, how does it affect the customer? And if it's a negative effect on the customer, and by the customer, I mean not just the client at Leader Bank, but also our staff. Yep. If the answer is it will negatively affect them, we look at another way to do it. So I think our overall, grand, mantra is what is best for the people. And I think that has helped us, co-manage quite effectively over the last 20 years.
And don't tell me, do you guys hang out outside of work as well? Are you friends on a personal level as well after all these years together?
Absolutely.
Just inseparable, the two of you.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it inseparable. We definitely have our own, lives, but certainly we engage socially outside, and
we've seen our kids grow up together, and we have many common friends. But we also, I will joke sometimes, if Jim will call me on a Saturday, I sometimes will answer the phone and say, I see you every day. What do you need? I bring a lot of humor and to my day. I like to say that we take the business very seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously.
Right. I think that's a very important distinction to make.
I think it makes it a very comfortable place to work. I think if you interviewed or talked to any of our current employees, I think they would say that it is more than just a place to come to work, that we really are interested in people's lives. I mean, we've been to weddings, we've been to births of our employees. We're very lucky that we have built a team that is very cohesive.
Now, we've covered some of the successes at work. We've obviously talked about the tremendous volume growth, the team growth, the support, and all these things. Tell me about what makes you a little bit outside of work, and how is your role at Leader maybe shaped that or given you an opportunity for fulfillment that you won't find on a resume?
I'd say the biggest opportunity it's given us is to, financially be able to afford to raise a family. I mean, it's expensive raising a family in these days. So, Leader has really given us that opportunity to be able to put our kids through college, to raise a family, do some of the extracurricular activities. So I would say the biggest thing.
I would agree with Jim. I think also it gives us an opportunity to give back to our communities. We both, in the past, have sat on boards in the towns that we are to help give back. I believe that the flexibility of this job allows us to do other things in our community. We are grateful that we have very good balance at our work. Our employees and ourselves, We've never missed a child's recital or a ball game because we always believe, and we still do, that family comes first. We don't hire people to punch a clock. You're hired to do a job, and we're going to assume that you're a professional and that you're well trained, and that at the end of the day, your work will be, done to the high level that leader demands. And so far, it's been a winning model.
Yeah, no, that's a testament to we talked about the happiness and the culture and things, that if people have the flexibility to take care of, like you said, family comes first, what matters first, you'll be in a better position to take care of the things that come up at the office.
Yeah, that's definitely played true throughout the years. I mean, there's many times where somebody will have to take their kid to a doctor's appointment in the morning. And, when they first start to work for us, they start to say, apologize for it. It's like, don't apologize. That's what you have to do. And you give them the freedom to be able to do that. And they always get the job done by the end of the day. They always let people know that they're going to be out of office when they're going to be. And as long as they treat things in that way, and like an adult should, it always seems to work out.
You'll figure it out soon enough if they're not doing their job,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
We've brought on a few loan officers in the last couple of years from different companies, and we become very close with our employees as we do treat this very much as a family. And I say employees, and I keep referring to that, but I really mean that no one works for us. We all work together. Jim and I not only manage the office, but we also originate. And we originate under the same terms as everyone that works for us. We're paid the same commission. We are in the same queue for underwriting. Our loans don't get approved quicker. They don't get closed quicker. If anything, Jim and I will take our production to the side, to the detriment of our personal production, for the betterment of the team. During the refi boom of the last 2 or 3 years, we originated far less than we could because we needed to be there to support the team in every aspect of making sure their business and their loans didn't suffer as a result of the market.
You think that seamless transition you described between being a manager and a peer has garnered you more approachability with your team, or?
Well, it's also, it's just part of the way that our management style is, because you don't want to go work in the loan officers that work with us. They're independent.
Right. You don't want to be a top-down boss for someone.
It's not a top-down position.
Yeah.
It's something where, we continue to write loans because we need to understand what they're going through. We need to be able to do that. But our primary focus is to help them get better at originating loans. That's our primary focus. So when they have an issue on a loan, we're familiar enough with it. We're still in the game, yet we're not putting our business ahead of theirs.
This is why we answer the phone and we text on the weekends and nights, and our families understand that. Our families, we recently, Jim and I were together at a social function, and we had a loan officer that was trying to win a deal, and it required us to work outside of the normal business hours. We're okay doing that because that's what this job is all about.
You take the hits, but you reap the rewards.
And come Monday or Tuesday, when that employee walks in the office with a bright smile because they won the deal, more often than not, they're thanking us for being available. And, Jim and I kind of laugh because we would do that for anybody. It wouldn't have to be a loan officer from our office. If somebody had called us, our philosophy is help everybody.
But it gels your team, no questions asked.
It is. The rewards are just to bring it back to what you had said earlier, we're in a very troubling part of the market right now where volume is down 90%. So our foundational skill set is reaping rewards right now. Our loan officers are listening to us. They are voicing their concerns. They feel this is a very safe and comfortable place to do it. Jim and I look at the current market as an opportunity. You have to be able to peel the layers back and look at, this is a great time for us to shine as a company.
Yeah, I would say in the past, in times of an increasing rate environment, when refinances slow down, that's when we've actually picked up some of our best loan officers to date. It really is. Some of our best staff members, some of our best underwriters, because it's just such a great opportunity, great time to grow.
Like it becomes clear that at another place where that person was, maybe things weren't as good as they are here, and you have an opportunity to bring them here.
Yeah, weaknesses are exposed when things slow down. They really are in any organization.
We had a loan officer leave several years ago, left to change jobs a couple times, and then came back to us. because the grass is not always greener. And we might be many things, but we are very honest. We'll tell you exactly what is going on. And I think people appreciate, especially today, having very direct communication.
Well, let's stick with honesty then. Short of just saying, hey, we're Jim and Dave, we're awesome. What advice would you give to someone who is maybe thinking of making the switch, or for that matter, maybe thinking of just starting out in the residential lending industry, and sort of advice or thoughts on how to get that foot in the door?
Well, for someone starting out in the industry, the biggest thing is you don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to work the longest hours. You just have to be focused. You need to basically have the desire and just don't take no for an answer. We recently brought on a new originator about 3 years ago, who came from a completely different field. I think she called and begged us for a job for a good solid 2 years. And we kept saying, no, you can't do this. You're in a completely different profession. She was a nurse in her previous profession, and basically kept telling her to go away, that she wasn't going to make any money. This was a, commission sales job, and that she wasn't cut out for it. She was so persistent that we finally gave in. We hired her, and she's doing tremendous.
She had that quality you just described that you want.
Persistence. And I mean, she's doing a phenomenal job. So, I mean, it's just a testament to, you just have to have perseverance, and anybody can survive. And typically anybody in this, can survive in this industry and do well.
So all these years later, you're still here. And I keep going back to what you said at the beginning, that part of the team that you brought with you has even been with you from before Leader. This longevity is amazing. And I don't know how long you guys are planning to carry this on, but what do you sort of see as the vision for res lending and goals at Leader for the next 5, 10, 15 years going forward?
I mean, just continued growth. Growth not only just here in Massachusetts, but growth throughout the country. So maybe it's growth outside of Massachusetts and growing the teams.
I think Leader's commitment to technology, innovation, and marketing is what's going to help propel us over the next 5 to 10 years as well. We are way ahead of our competition when it comes to customer retention, customer marketing. Our technology is excellent. Greg, we have tools today that I didn't even think we would have 5 years ago. We have the ability to pre-approve somebody from our smartphones. We have the top technology when it comes to laptops and our VPN process. So we can originate whether we're in California or we're in Puerto Rico for the weekend.
But arguably our competitors could have all those tools too. Why are we so much better?
Now, the tools we have are efficient, and when one doesn't work, we're very flexible. We've used some technology out there that we thought was going to be the greatest thing, and we found out 6 months later that it wasn't, and we're able to adapt and change. There's not a lot of organizations that'll do that. A lot of the bigger companies out there will say, all right, well, we committed to this and we signed a contract and we're going to stick with it. Leader at least is willing to admit their mistakes and make the move to a different, better.
It's not forced growth,
platform.
It's thoughtful growth.
It's thoughtful growth, exactly.
What we originate with a total platform of under 60 loan officers, it would take triple or 4 times as many at some of our larger competitors. At Leader Bank, you work for a place where the president knows the name of most, if not all, employees. When he walks through our branch, they're comfortable to talk to people. I don't think that happens at at larger places. The personality is lost. So I think, yes, you're right. There are other companies probably have origination platforms that are great, but our lack of fat when it comes to management, I think, makes us nimble. And as Jim said, we're not afraid to say, you know what, this didn't work, and we can pull the plug and pivot, which is what we're doing now in this market. So, it's no longer a refi market. It's now a purchase market. So we're doing our purchase pass. We're doing 10-day closing guarantees. Yes, there might be other companies that are going to develop it, but we were able to get it out very quickly. We were able to market it, and we were really first to market with many of the innovative ideas that we come up with
a culture of support and flexibility underneath it. Any last thoughts, closing thoughts, anything you want to share that you think would be interesting to our listeners about your role or your growth at Leader, or just sort of who you are? I
mean, Jim and I have been together for over 20 years, and this is by far the longest job that we've had together, the longest company that we've been together. I think a lot of people who might be thinking about making a move here would be very well to come talk with us. to spend a day or two in the office. When we do interview people, we tell them to call anybody that they want, whether it's somebody from the secondary department, somebody from marketing. We really turn the lights on to make sure that they are comfortable and that they come in here so that if 6 months later, we don't want them sitting down and pointing a finger saying, you lied to us about something. We believe that right from the beginning, you should just open the door and make people as comfortable as they can to see if the decision's right for them. We have a philosophy which is very simple. We like to under-promise and over-deliver. And if you keep that as your primary decision-making process, I think success will follow.
Yep. You just took the words right out of my mouth. That's a term and a phrase we use all the time. And as Dave mentioned, we don't want to hire somebody and have them a couple of months later feel like, it was a bait and switch. We want to make sure that they understand that, what we're saying is true. We plan on, we're hiring them not for a short term. We're hiring them for the long term. We want these people to be with us 10 years from now and say that was the best move they ever made. And if you do the bait and switch up front, it doesn't happen that way. There's a lot of resentment.
We bring a lot of humor to our work. We don't take ourselves seriously. I really, it's people ask us all the time, how does it work? And I think it's because we're authentic. I think it's because I can't tell you how many times somebody will come in and I'll either have the wrong answer or do something, and I'll go back to them and as will Jim and say, you know what? I was wrong. That's not how it needs to be done. And I think that goes a long way with people. They see you as human. We're not, they don't work for us. We work together.
Your managers and peers. Well, thank you both so much for making the time for coming in today. It was great catching up with you guys. I feel like we don't see each other that much anymore, so it was fun for me as well. And thank you both. For more information about the topic of this episode, including more information about Leader Bank's Purchase Pass and the ability to close in as little as 10 days, please visit www.leaderbank.com. In addition to past episodes, you can also find our corresponding blog entries for more insights. This podcast is a production of Leader Bank N.A., Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 449250.